So the Buddha said that life is suffering. And I'm asking the question, is suffering necessary? There's a whole yes and no and a whole bunch in between on this answer. um, I think first thing is to acknowledge that it's unavoidable on this planet that we will experience suffering at times, because there's very little stability here. There's a lot of anti-love, um, even from people that, we love, like, these horrible, that's probably when it can hurt the most, when people who, we felt like there was love there, like, shoot their arrows at us, and it can be very painful to experience that. There's also suffering that's, caused from just the sheer instability of that base pyramid, of Maslow's pyramid, of shelter and security and all of the base needs being threatened, and this is just worldwide. Even in sort of countries like Australia, like the housing crisis is out of control. It's just too much money to pay out to live anywhere. It's ridiculous. So that people just live from paycheck to paycheck, if that, and even having to live in credit. But of course it's way worse than that in other countries. But the point is, as a planet, like, life isn't easy for the vast majority of people, and also everything we, our basic security can be just bang, it can be taken away just, in the flash of an eye, as happened with me. And that caused immense suffering for me. But, I was able to move through it with a certain level of consciousness and sort of see, observe myself through that experience. And I did notice one of the fears that arose in me was just this dreadful fear that I don't want anyone else to suffer. It's really obvious to me that sort of like the acceleration of the effect of the tyrannical leaders on this planet, it's now amplifying because Trump has been voted in the US. So, we already had the problems with Putin and Netanyahu and the dictatorships in North Korea and so on. Like, I can't list them all, but, it's already been there, in the Islamic countries too. And but now, because we've got a superpower in the US who's now, it's turning into a country ruled by, like a dictatorship almost. That's kind of like really upping the ante big time. So, it means more and more people will be suffering as a result of this, whether they're innocent bystanders, people who have nothing, like, not receiving the medical aid that they need, just, from that simple, just removing US aid, like, there's people, far away who are dying, who are sick because of that. People in the US, people who are technically illegal immigrants, even not illegal immigrants, their whole stability is just, they can be picked up and swept off and put into prison. Let's not call it even a detention center. Let's just call it prison. They're being locked up. People, just totally decent people, regular people in the US losing their jobs. It just goes on and on and on. And that causes, like, if you haven't got an income, like, how do you pay for your house? How do you care for your family? Like, it's intense. Like, it causes a lot of stress. So the reality is that the suffering will accelerate. There's going to be more of it, and I'm making peace with. I'm making peace with it. Like that I have to let die this aspect of me that would do anything to stop anyone from suffering, and to just accept that there are two sides to the coin in a way. On one side, the suffering gives people an opportunity to rise up in consciousness, we hear the story time and again when people hit rock bottom, it's the biggest turnaround, like for a revolutionary leap in consciousness where people can really change the trajectory of their lives. But there's also, there's going to be cases where people don't have that opportunity because, they die, they're taken out of embodiment. So, they've got to come back for another round of it. But in some cases, it's more so what's going on is we see what's happening. The rest of us see that. The rest of us who are still in embodiment, we see what's happening, and it becomes an example of another piece of evidence in this is what's happening, and we can use that to build the pathway forward to take a stand for democracy and for the people on this planet. So in a way it's like almost a martyrdom or something, but if you just come, I'm not saying I want people to die either or anything like that, but it's happening, it's been happening, it's going to continue happening. Let's not just put our heads in the sand, it's reality. But let's not let those people, their deaths die in vain. Let's use it to build up the evidence, because this can be resolved, this can be healed. It's going to take a while. It's going to take quite a while, but we need to look at it sort of, from two sides, that, individuals have that opportunity to grow and to transcend themselves. And even if people go out of embodiment, they're coming back, and they'll have that opportunity, and they will have an opportunity while they're out of embodiment to work on this as well. But for the reality of, the reality we deal with on Earth, it's all sort of a part of the whole, to see what's going on, put it together, as evidence, and to use that. I don't know how, because I'm not that person, and organisations will be able to be see, this is what's been happening, and, give all the numbers, the statistics, and really sort of, look at that cold, hard evidence, shocking evidence. But, use that to turn humanity around and to flush these tyrannical people, these oligarchs, off the planet. I say no more. No more. So